Hello everyone, I'm here today to do a review of African Titanics by Abu Bakr Khaal. And this is a book that I read for Invisible Cities for Eritrea, and it basically looks at the trip of an Eritrean man fleeing Eritrea and trying to go into Europe. I think it relies a lot on the emotional side of things more than the factual things, and that's normal in a novel, I think. And it intentionally doesn't look at why so many Eritreans are leaving the country, which is something that I knew. I knew a lot of Eritreans are moving out for many years now. There are a lot of Eritreans here in the Netherlands and I think in other countries as well. And that has to do with the civil war that they are experiencing and the political unrest that they are experiencing in the country. Even though the book acknowledges the fact that a lot of Eritreans are fleeing the country, it doesn't want to go into details about that. So we just follow this man through his travel to Libya and then eventually trying to be smuggled into Europe. It is a good addition to the previous information that I had, especially this year I have read The Fourth Time We Drowned, which won the Orwell Prize for nonfiction. And that one looks at refugee camps and detention camps in Libya funded by the European Union. And there were several testimonies from people inside, and some of them were Eritrean, and this kind of to me, it feels like one of those stories have been taken out and made a novel about one of the months in one of those concentration camps. So to me, it has added value just because I have read that other book before. But this book is actually really short. It's like about 100 pages, which means that it's very easy to read in a way. Not easy because of the topic, but easy because it's not very long. And obviously with that length, it can also not go into a lot of depth into any of the topics that is discussing. But I don't think it particularly stands as a great piece of literature on its own. I think if you know about the circumstances around all of these topics, about Eritrean history and current status, about the immigration lines through Africa and hopefully into Europe, if you are interested in that and know about them, this is a very valuable addition to all of that, to give you a more personal, even though it's a novel and it's not nonfiction or a memoir or something, it does give like a story about a person that went through that. Then it's a valuable thing, but on its own, to me it felt like it was a little bit shallow just because it was so short. And also as a representation of Eritrea, you could argue that it's not the best because it doesn't talk about Eritrea. It talks a lot more about the smuggling process, about this man experiencing other things and the homesickness that he sometimes feels. But because so many people from Eritrea have fled the country, I think in a way, it's also representative of the experience of a lot of Eritrean people. In other circumstances, when people write from the diaspora, you could say it's not representative, but in this case, because so many people have that experience, I think it does give one side of the story that it is valuable to the representation of the country as a whole. So in that sense, I think this is successful. So yeah, all of that to say that I think this is not a bad book. I think it's very short and very easy to read in terms of the commitment, not in terms of the topic. But I don't think it stands on its own as a single representation of that experience or of the country. I think if you read this, I will encourage you to also research some of the things that are being discussed, like why people are fleeing Eritrea so much, what's the conditions that these immigrants go through, because I think this is like a starting point, let's say, not like a full experience full story that is going to give you a lot of information. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this book. Let me know if you have read it, or if you have read anything else from Eritrea for Invisible Cities. I would love to know, especially if it's a book that is actually set in Eritrea. And until next video, bye!